I'm not open. Welcome to the WAN show, ladies and gentlemen. We've got a fantastic show today. You can tell because Luke and I coordinated our outfits. I called him up this morning. I was like, hey, you gonna wear the FloatPlane shirt today?
Are you gonna also wear blue jeans?
And he was like, no. And I was like, okay, good, then I can wear it. And then that piece of human garbage showed up wearing the FloatPlane shirt.
Wrecked.
Are you wearing LTT underwear too?
Yes.
Nice.
But I do that pretty much every time I can. LTTstore.com. Wear the same underwear as us.
That's right. Not
literally the same.
Not
pair.
the same article of clothing,
No,
but
we charge more for that.
Looks along with the bathwater. All right, so we got a great show for you guys today. We're going to be talking about the PIA situation that took place a little back, where PIA got acquired by Kape Technologies. I actually had a chance to sit down with some executives from both sides and sort of talk through some of our community's concerns. So we'll be discussing that a little bit later. Intel apparently is allegedly buying back stocks to hide declining growth. I mean, there's other reasons to buy back stocks, but that's sort of one reason you might do it. What else we got?
Xbox says Nintendo and Sony are no longer its main rivals. That'll be an interesting conversation, and I do not agree with them, but we'll go more into that later. Also, NVIDIA's GeForce Now is finally out of beta, which is kind of cool. It's been in beta for a long time.
3 years. It's like, who do they think they are? Google?
FloatPlane?
You know, I wasn't even going there. Where I am going is into the intro. Don't you hate it when you get dry lips but only once? My top lip is dry, but my bottom lip is fine.
Yes, everything.
So, I have Linus lips.
Oh, that's kind of fun.
Linus is Linus. If I could find this stuff again, I would totally buy it. Sorry, I forgot.
I'm surprised they still have like merch.
Oh, these lip things are like, my mother gave them to me when I still lived at home.
And they're still like, they still function.
I mean, it's mineral oil, beeswax, carnauba wax, microcrystalline wax. It's just like
nothing
wax,
that's gonna rot. Yeah, that makes sense.
I mean, maybe it rotted. Like, I've been using it all that time. Like, bits of skin flake could have rotted on it, but it doesn't say it expires, so I've just kept using them.
Nice.
All right. So we got a great show for you guys today. As I said before, let's
get started. Are we starting
right into it?
Headliner, right?
You know what? Let's go right to the headline topic: private internet access. So I had a chance to sit down with, virtually sit down with, air travel is costly and takes a lot of time and stuff. So we used Discord. Yeah. Unfortunately, the audio was sort of terrible.
You guys use Discord?
Well, because they are in Europe, so we were like on the Europe server, but I am super definitely not in Europe, and it was pretty crackly.
Sure.
Anyway, point is, I actually recorded the entire call with their permission, of course. Like, I wasn't surreptitiously recording it or anything like that.
This was the plan.
But I recorded the entire call, and we're going to share that in an unlisted YouTube video if you guys want to go ahead and check that out. And basically, what we did was we polled our community a little bit earlier, it was either this week or last week, and we asked you guys to give us a list of the questions that you wanted us to ask PIA. So I sat down, I talked to them myself. Some of the concerns that people shared were in this document that I cannot open because I opened the wrong one. Here we go. People wanted to know what kind of differences end users are going to see, how they can ensure their data is protected, whether PIA will remain private internet access, what guarantee people have that their information won't slip out in any shape or form, whether they'll continue to operate in such a way that they can maintain true confidentiality with no records. How does the merger help PIA? Like, why even do this? One of the things I really drilled into was, okay, I understand how this helps PIA because, you have a bunch of money now because you've got this parent company with large coffers. But, what's in it for Kape Technologies? Because it was said in the news articles about the acquisition that PIA owed a lot of money, that they had a lot of debt. And so I was looking at it going, okay, well, why does PIA have debt unless they're not profitable? And if they're not profitable, well, usually the model there for acquiring a non-profitable business is, what are you acquiring? Users. Why do you want users? User data. So I asked, okay, like, how does that make sense? And they explained that basically the debt that PIA was carrying was actually more to do with product development of, exciting upcoming products, and not to do with that they were not operating profitably day by day. And I kind of went, okay, well, that makes a lot more sense, acquiring a profitable business. So what else did we talk about? Will they be keeping IP records? The answer is no. What kind of auditing do they do of their systems to avoid what happened? Oh, actually didn't ask that specifically, because we ended up talking about the auditing that they are open to. So regulatory bodies are welcome to visit their offices. They can poke around in their source code. They've actually started open sourcing some of their products, which I thought was pretty cool. They say they're not planning any changes to the current end user license agreement. That was another big question. They couldn't really comment on pricing. I understand that. They were like, yeah, I don't know, up, down, like pricing's sort of a thing.
Yeah.
One of the most common questions, even though this happened a long time ago, like something like a year and a half ago, was why did Mark Karpelès become their new CTO? And we've actually got a clip. We've actually got a couple of clips here. So we've got about 11 minutes of highlights. I'm not going to take you guys through. Oh, whoops. You're not screen sharing with me. So we've got about 11 minutes of highlights here. I'm not going to take you guys through the whole thing, but I think it's worth including a little bit of it. But the gist of that one was that London Trust Media hired Mark Karpelès, and he wasn't actually influential on PIA, which was like owned by London Trust Media, but then now PIA was actually acquired by Kape Technologies. So if anything, this question is more irrelevant now than ever, but they still were willing to answer it, which I thought was great. They were actually surprisingly approachable and transparent throughout the whole process. And they basically said, well, we believe in second chances. It's pretty evident that mistakes were made, but he never had any access to any user data and was working for London Trust Media. We know he's very capable. So we hired him based on that, and one of PIA's founders had an existing relationship with him and kind of said, like, I know he's a good guy, and bad stuff happens, but we think people deserve a second chance. And he had nothing to do with any of PIA's privacy applications. So we had a pretty long conversation about that as well. Yeah. So basically, the long and short of it is that they're saying Kape Technologies had made mistakes in the past. I mean, that was the other big concern that I think our users had, was that Kape Technologies in its earlier days was, whether directly or basically, was in the business of selling user data, ended up having it blow up in their faces. The CEO, this is what they're telling me, the CEO basically burned it all to the ground, got rid of everybody, brought in an entirely new team, and decided, okay, no, new focus. We are going to work on the concept of monetizing privacy instead of monetizing data. And they pointed at their acquisitions of other VPN companies who notably haven't had any scandals. CyberGhost is a perfect example in the last few years since Kape Technologies acquired them, as their commitment to keep moving in that direction. Really interesting quip was I forget who it was. Sorry, there were a handful of people on the call. But one of them pointed out that Mark Zuckerberg got up on stage and talked about, privacy as like a really exciting business opportunity, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm kind of sitting here going, okay. And they were like, yeah, no, wrong messenger.
Yeah.
But like, great message. I was like,
sure.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair enough.
Awkward. Yeah, lie to your users a ton and then advertise privacy.
Yeah.
Well,
it's the whole, I want to say conspiracy theory, but it seems pretty believable, right? Where the same actors are creating, weapons
yeah.
and shields.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
Right?
Yeah, definitely. Are we gonna watch it, or are you just gonna do the summary thing?
You know what? I kind of summarized a lot of it. Why don't we watch a couple chunks of it though?
Sure.
Yep. Don't log. Do you log? Just for our viewers, I want a summary. Do you log IP addresses? Do you log, any like metadata? I mean, obviously you have to take payment from people somehow. How does this work? What do you not log?
So we do not log in any of our services any IP translations. So we do not log.
Sorry that the video is frozen on their side. The connection wasn't great.
Technically, is the user account, because you need a user account to use a commercial VPN. But that only shows that you use a VPN and not what you do with the VPN. And that is also shown. We are very transparent with it. I remember that CyberGhost was the first company in the history of VPNs that opened and published a transparency report regarding police requests. And we get several police requests here. Also, private internet access is releasing a transparency report. So you see in the way we deal with police requests and subpoenas that there is no data there, there is no data logged, there is no data stored. And maybe Andrew can tell a little bit more about how it's handled there.
Absolutely, yeah. We don't log anything as it relates to VPN traffic or anything. Obviously when somebody signs up, we know if somebody signs up, but we're really committed to our no log policy. But it's great that you asked this question, because we're actually taking it a step further and we're opening our systems up to review from both auditors in the community as well as professional auditors as well, so that they can verify what we're saying, not just take our word for it.
This is going to be a question that you guys. So basically, that's the summary of the no log policy. Basically, they are committed to continuing to not log anything. So okay. I think my other timestamps are in the doc here. The big middle chunk, the only reason I'm not playing it is because it ended up being really long and it was faster to summarize it. I did post the full thing in the chat, and then I'm just checking to see. I believe it's also posted in the video description. Yep, it's posted in the video description if you guys want to check that out. I'm just checking my other timestamp.
One completely off-topic question that I have. Are those guys in a tent?
I don't know what they're doing.
Are they camping?
I'm not sure. I'm sorry. They were super backlit. It was hard to see their faces.
Yeah, I mean, that answer was, as far as I know, the same answer you get if you look up their like FAQ stuff.
Yep.
So,
did know? Okay. This was edited down for long pauses, apparently. Good effort, guys.
One thing I wanted to share is that we recently.
Oh, I asked if there was anything else they wanted to share.
Software, and we also.
Okay. Yeah. Let's try that one more time.
One thing I wanted to share is that we recently open sourced all of our software, and we also announced a new program called Zero Access that I kind of briefly touched on it before, but we're basically opening up our systems to prove that we actually won't have access to the systems, but at the same time, they're running exactly what we're saying that it's running, and it's all going to be provable.
Okay.
Yeah, the big push on our end is for complete transparency and visibility to our community.
Someone had an iPhone sitting next to their mic.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, go ahead.
I have a small point on that one. A lot of questions are also in this direction. How can we guys trust you? And my answer is always, don't trust us. I mean, just don't. Just look at what we are doing. We are publicly listed. We are the most transparent company out there. Everybody knows our headquarters. Go on our websites. You're gonna see pictures of people working for these companies. So we are launching a transparency report. Our policy at CyberGhost is since 3 years, and it's the same policy at Private Internet Access or at ZenMate. Any NGO that is in this field and has experts is invited. Knock at our doors in Bucharest or at the headquarters at PIA or at ZenMate, and you can have a watch. You can watch our service. You can see our service. You can look at our source code. You can see what's behind the scenes. You can talk with the people. We are super transparent. Don't trust us. Just look at how we operate the business. And to add additional trust now, we start to closely and slowly open source stuff. And I think that is important. And I think that is the difference between us as a group and our products and any other VPN out there.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
So, in summary, what we've decided to do to make things simple. So I don't know if you guys have noticed, but we worked with PIA for a long time, ever since we weren't comfortable with TunnelBear's acquisition by McAfee, up until the news of PIA then getting acquired. Now, we haven't stopped working with PIA, strictly speaking, but ever since that day, we haven't done any promotion for PIA. We haven't put out our affiliate link. Actually, we had it in one spot. It was like in a template somewhere, but we removed it once someone brought that to our attention. Because it wasn't that we were sure that Kape Technologies was going to be a negative influence on them. We just didn't know, and we didn't want to put ourselves in a position where, you know, PIA had got acquired, and then now we're hopping over to some other VPN, and then what? Like, are they going to get acquired? And then they have some big scandal, and then we hop over to some other VPN, and we were just kind of, I was tired of that cycle. I don't want to deal with that. And from my perspective, if we couldn't just find someone that we can trust to recommend to our users, then I was just going to bail on it. So what we told PIA is, look, we're going to give you guys a chance to speak your mind. We're going to let the community decide. I mean, everyone's had actually like weeks now, actually months, to process all of this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop this poll in the forum here, or in the forum, excuse me. I'm going to drop this poll in the chat here. And we're just going to let you guys decide. So in order to prevent any exploiters from taking advantage of that, this is a poll that's based on the YouTube community link, we are going to cut off the voting in the next 5 minutes. I'm not going to give people time to spin up their botnet or whatever the case may be. So, guys, go ahead, check that out. Do you want to drop that in the FloatPlane chat as well? Oh, this guy's on it. He's on it. He's taking care of our FloatPlaners.
I also re-upped on the other two just to make sure they got updated links.
All right, so guys, go check that out. And that's it. You guys are judge, jury, and executioner. So if you guys say, yeah, stick with PIA, then that's it. We're sticking with it. If you guys say, no, hard bail, then it's hard bail as far as I'm concerned. So we'll do one more topic while we wait for you guys to go through that, and then we'll come back and have a look at the results. This is a fun one. This was posted by Jacob FW on the forum. The original source is seekingalpha.com. So a popular financial news site. Intel stock has been trading near 20-year highs. However, Intel's annual 10K filing shows that the company's operations are running far behind the sentiment in the stock, and that the earnings per share growth is being driven through stock buybacks. I mean, this shouldn't be a surprise to anyone who's been following the tax changes that have been made down in the States over the last several years. Intel is far from the only company utilizing its windfall from not paying as much taxes to buy back a whole bunch of its stock and pump up the value. Although there may be more to this, so let's go through the rest of this. So the driver of Intel's story in the recent past has been its data center group, but this segment barely grew in 2019. Could be partly because of AMD EPYC 2 Rome servers. And their profitability actually declined by over 10% the first year EPYC shipped in decent volumes. So yes, that is probably a factor. And if the last few months, ever since Rome 2 in particular, are anything to go by in terms of like third-party reviews and just the buzz that I've seen in the places where people are discussing enterprise hardware, 2020 is not going to be a good year for that unit. So the other major group at Intel is the client computing group. So that's where you've got your K-series overclocking, gaming CPUs, all that kind of thing. And growth in 2019 also died down. AMD has been consistently gaining market share against the client computing group ever since basically the launch of Ryzen. I mean, it's at the point now where here, all we have to do is fire up Amazon.com.
Yeah.
I mean, check this out, ladies
Yeah.
and gentlemen. This is not pre-scripted, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, we're gonna look at. I don't even know how to navigate Amazon's site. It's terrible.
You pass computers.
It's terrible. Computers. Yeah, but it's not computers. I need computer components. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. We need computer component. Well, whatever. Here you
Here we
go.
go, ladies and gentlemen.
Here you go. AMD. Some more AMD. Best seller. AMD. Some more AMD. That's red, but not AMD. But hey, it's red. You know, it counts. More AMD. Holy crap.
That's actually
AMD board, AMD processor, AMD board. There isn't a single Intel thing on the landing page.
That's actually crazy.
Now, you know, if I wore a tinfoil hat, I might suggest that Amazon is, you know, Lisa Sue's niece is working for Amazon and making sure. No, that's Amazon is algorithmically driven. I can tell you for a fact that if it's AMD all over the computer components front page, that's because that's what people are, even if they're not necessarily buying it, you know, every single one of those products. Like, Intel's definitely still selling CPUs, but even if they aren't necessarily buying it, that's what people are shopping for. That's what people are, like, lusting after right now. Wait. Oh no, never mind. I thought I saw an Intel product on the homepage, but actually that was just something that I had in my cart as like a thinking about item.
So I sorted to specifically CPU processors, and there's Intel stuff right on the front, but you'll...
Hold on, here we
It's,
go. What do you got? What do you got here? Oh,
What do you expect there to be in the middle top?
oh boy, what the heck is that doing there? Why is that there? Why is it $500? Why is there an Athlon XP? What are these sponsored? Who is sponsoring this? We need more transparency. What's going on here?
Once you move past the
I've gone back in time. It's Athlon XP versus Core 2 Quad. That's gonna be a gong show.
Once you get past the sponsored ones, however, it's AMD land. It takes, what, 7, sort of 8, because there's randomly an SSD in here until you get to an Intel processor.
Okay, hold on. I had a viewer ask me to do it in incognito mode.
Oh, okay.
Friends, I always do it in incognito mode. So this is computers. Don't just go away. Computer components. Here we go. All right, we ready, ladies and gentlemen? AMD.
This is identical.
AMD. Yeah, I actually don't really shop on Amazon.com very much, so I might as well be loading it in incognito mode.
Oh, I also went to .ca.
Oh, okay.
That was .ca.
Oh, okay.
What I showed you
But
guys.
you ended up with a couple Intel processors.
Well,
but that was when you went to the CPU page specific. Oh, wow.
Went to the CPU page. After the sponsored posts, it's all Ryzen for 2 whole rows.
Wow.
And then in the third row, the third item is an Intel processor.
Yeah, and then you got like an SSD in there because like you only live once. So there's an SSD beating Intel's first entry.
Yes.
That's
and they
rough.
get 2 entries, and it's all back to AMD for 3 more, and then back
AMD
to AMD
town.
Oof.
Population, y'all.
Oof.
All right. So what else we got here? Growth would have been negative if not for adjacent business, a segment that included the Apple modem business, which saw a major growth spurt in 2019. So Intel is posting increased earnings per share despite the declining operating income. How is this possible? Stock repurchases have climbed from $3.615 billion to $10.73 billion in 2018 2017
yeah.
to 2018 to $13.576 billion in 2019. So some may argue that Intel is continuing to generate tremendous amounts of cash despite the challenges, and there's nothing wrong with stock buybacks. In fact, it can be a sign that the executives are confident that stock price will go up in the future. The argument is a little flawed, though. The main problem is not stock buybacks, but that the buybacks are hiding the declining operational performance.
So I read this. I don't think that the argument is necessarily flawed.
Right.
Because they're saying, some may argue that they're getting a bunch of cash and there's nothing wrong with stock buybacks. Then the next statement is saying that the argument is flawed, which would mean that there is something wrong with stock buybacks.
Well, there can be, I think is what they're trying to say.
Sure, but that's a weird statement.
So if you're doing stock...
I can try to get that turned back on.
Did we just have like a power flicker here? I hear a printer turning back on.
Yeah.
Okay, no, it's fine. Or actually, yeah.
You
Do you
wanna
mind
leave that? I
getting
can
it?
keep going. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, let's just both leave.
Okay. I'm gonna come back. Hello. Yeah. So I don't know. We praised Ubisoft like 2 years ago when they resisted a company buying them out by frantically buying as much stock as they could.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't think buying back stock is necessarily a bad thing. They could definitely be using it to cover up declining whatevers. But
Yep.
if you're making stock purchasing decisions and you're looking that shallowly at things, like,
That's not because you have to protect the lowest common denominator, 100%.
I don't do stock stuff very often, so
Okay, no, what I mean by protect the lowest common denominator person.
that's what I thought you
Oh
meant.
yeah, no, so like that's why.
I'm including myself in that.
Oh, I see.
Because I'm not super informed on stock
Okay, but lowest common denominator. No, I would not consider you to be lowest common denominator. Lowest common denominator is more referring to the capability, or the like, or the methodology that someone might use to approach something.
Okay.
You know, and you have to make sure that you're protecting the people.
So you're protecting like stock do good, buy stock.
Yeah, like people who are like that because they need to know that something's being manipulated.
But you also can't stop a company from buying back their stock because of...
No. Another thing too is that, you know, if the executives own a bunch of stock,
if the stock is dipping, this might be a good time for them to buy if
Buy
they think it's
back.
going to come back eventually.
or buy back so that the stock doesn't dip too far so they can sell theirs for a good value before everyone clues in and it like really dips.
That also makes sense.
So, anyway,
I could see why someone could maybe argue that it's like not a great thing that they're covering up the stock dipping. Totally understand that. I wouldn't agree that they like shouldn't be allowed to do it or something, because it's fair.
I mean, this is obviously not something that would work for the very long term. You know, eventually you run out of cash to buy back stock.
Especially with this increase. Like the first year's increase was over $7 billion.
Yep.
And then the next one was what, like around just under 3?
But, I mean, I would be very surprised if Intel doesn't come back swinging hard in the next 2 to 4 years. And maybe this helps them ride out that dip.
Yeah.
All right, speaking of riding, let's go ahead and have a look at the results of our poll here.
And then sponsors.
And then sponsors, right? Yes, we should do that. All right, you guys are finding out at the same time as me. What's
I've
up?
updated it a few times. It's been tied every time. Yep.
Okay.
Internet.
So are we being trolled? Are we being trolled, Colton?
I don't think we're being trolled.
You don't think we're being trolled?
That's what the community thinks. It's a tough call.
They think small one, big one, small one.
Yeah.
It really does look like a middle finger, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yes.
Yes, that's what you were thinking.
Yeah.
That's what you see when you look at that.
Yep.
A long
Just
hard
a gigantic indifferent.
middle finger.
Making this decision for you.
All right, let's give it the old refresh. I mean, this is not going to get more helpful.
And for your reference, I did refresh it a few times, and they were tied every time. The indifference column got a little smaller, so I think the excitement about the poll decreased. But the yes and no columns were tied the whole time.
I was really hoping for a much clearer indicator. I mean, I might as well have just gotten a magic 8-ball and been like, yo, what should I do? Sup?
Maybe.
Future outlook not so good, you know? Like,
Yeah.
okay. Well, now what?
Should we just take it offline and figure it
Shit,
out?
there's a winner. You gotta refresh.
There's a winner? Okay. I mean, I don't know that I would necessarily consider 1%
is
to be a winner. Yeah,
it's meaningless.
Yeah. This is like clearly divided the community here.
I think we need to put more thought into it.
All right.
What do you think? I'm not trying to put words in your mouth. What do you think?
You guys should like rap battle each side.
Honestly, having actually sat through the entire interview that I did with them this morning, I felt pretty good about the direction they were going. I mean, I'm still committed to letting the community decide. Unfortunately, I don't have a good way to allow them to decide at
What
this
if you
point
remove indifferent?
without leaving it open to, well, the people.
You have to redo it, and some people are legitimately indifferent.
Yeah, no, I don't want to take away that vote. If people just don't care, like that's good
Right,
to know.
but the difference between the 22 and the 23 will be more noticeable if that column of dump votes isn't there.
I see. Okay.
I mean, it might end up being like, oh, it's a 2% difference now. Like, it might not be meaningful.
I was expecting like a landslide in either direction.
I was too, to be honest.
I was expecting there to be strong opinions. I didn't know which way it would swing. This was the last possible thing that I could have expected.
Yep, me too.
Okay, we're gonna have to give it some more thought. This was like my master plan. This was my.
I thought it was gonna work. I was like excited for like how conclusive this was going to be.
Yeah.
And it just-
I was excited to not have to make a decision. Honestly.
the committee was just like, no. Yeah.
This is on you to
Yeah.
make the decision.
So,
You have to decide.
got people saying NordVPN, yeah, they've had their own issues. Like right around the same time, they had a really stupid
Wasn't it right
scandal.
before, I think?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. I guess we'll just have to figure it out on our own then.
Go watch the unlisted video.
Yeah, go watch the unlisted video, see if you feel any differently. Honestly, I'm not going to be able to keep looking at these numbers though, because the longer this sits up there, the easier it would be for someone to go in and try to manipulate it with a bunch of zombie accounts or whatever the case may be. So
I was actually just gonna say, do I leave the poll up? Just
you can leave it up just for lulz, I guess. I don't know. No, just lock it.
okay.
Yeah, I'm just gonna. No, it's okay. I think I can lock it.
You do have the power. I believe.
Do I have the power to lock it? No, I can only delete it. You can't lock a poll.
Yeah,
What
you
kind
can
of
delete it.
what a feature-rich, wonderful website, YouTube. Thank you very much for building this
I
spectacular
didn't even know it existed. It's
video-
Like, yo, you can get polls on YouTube.
video sharing platform.
You said that, Nick?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Nick.
Hey, Jaden, when's it coming, dude?
Yeah. All right,
Okay.
It's not even, it's literally his own thing.
I'm deleting it.
He
I'm
just
out.
has like this
Yeah,
amazing,
sounds good.
yeah. Come on, Jaden,
All right.
get the dust off.
Screw it. Let's do our sponsors. Oh, I'm so unhappy right now because I was just expecting that to be the answer. Okay, today by SquareSpace. Don't worry, the space doesn't have to be square. It can be any form of rectangle you want.
Oh,
Phone size screen.
oh my.
Okay, wide screen.
Oh, jeez.
Square screen. They can do square. Do you need to create a beautiful website without the hassle? Well, check out Squarespace. Their all-in-one platform makes it easy to get up and running quickly. They have award-winning templates that you can use as starting points for a wide range of projects. And if you ever need additional help, Squarespace offers webinars, a full series of help guides, and even 24/7 customer support via live chat and email. If you already have a third-party domain, don't give it up. Just transfer it over to Squarespace. And Squarespace includes e-commerce features to help you sell merch or services online and easily manage your inventory and orders and all that good stuff. So go to squarespace.com/WAN. We're going to have that linked down below and use offer code WAN to save 10%. WAN right now.
One quick thing before you go on to the
Hey.
next one.
Yes.
FloatPlane, there's a poll for just you.
Brought to you by FloatPlane. There's a poll for just what, sorry?
Someone in the FloatPlane chat came with the idea that the FloatPlane viewers, probably an increased amount of VPN users, probably a little bit more hardcores and stuff, maybe we should see what
Should we just
their
let
poll
FloatPlane
looks like.
decide? Okay, you know what? Screw it. I'm just going to let FloatPlane decide. Okay, do you have it up on your screen?
I
Okay.
do.
I want it revealed to me at the same time as you. Let's do
They're
it.
still voting, but this one's a lot more clear.
Okay. Hey,
This one's like-
69. Nice.
This one is significantly
Nice.
more clear. There's still votes coming in, as you see, but the percentages are roughly staying the same.
What's also nice about the FloatPlane one is it's far less likely to have people with ready-to-go accounts to spam anything.
Oh, like YouTube account things?
Yeah, these are paid accounts, so we know that these are actually legitimately real people. People are unlikely to have a duplicate account for FloatPlane. I mean, you can if you want. Thank you very much, but I think that's not really a normal
great.
use case. Actually, another FloatPlane-related matter, I did not realize that we were uploading our videos in 1080p quality.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're gonna switch to 4K. I actually enabled the 4K tier
Yeah.
on FloatPlane assuming that everything we uploaded was like at 4K source quality, I didn't realize that we weren't. So we're working on that. We're getting that sorted out.
Okay, cool.
And I have another only sort of FloatPlane related piece of news. ChannelSuperFun, the one, the only.
Okay, so quick, just before we go on, someone in the FloatPlane audience is a butt and leaked this. Oh no, I leaked this. You showed my screen, it showed the URL.
Oh, well, that's okay. They had already
Either
answered
way.
it.
we
Okay,
already
you know
knew
what? That's
Sorry.
it.
The FloatPlane audience is perfect.
That's it.
That was us.
The answer is done. FloatPlane said, YouTube says maybe, FloatPlane says yes. So FloatPlane people, because we know you're real people, I am
Done. Conclusive.
60% of the time it works every time. We're going with the FloatPlane conclusion. Okay, big news. This is like the biggest news ever. ChannelSuperFun, okay? Display capture, sure. Okay, everything here good?
What are you trying to?
I want to show FloatPlane.
Okay.
Okay, so, okay. Oh boy.
I'm sorry, FloatPlane.
Oh, I'm sorry everyone, that's very awful.
What are we doing?
All right, we are looking at Linus Tech Tips on FloatPlane. And we are looking at the return of the one, the only, ChannelSuperFun! Please play. Way to go, Luke.
Awkward.
There it is.
Hooray.
There it is.
And it
Look
plays
at
instantly.
look
Oh,
at this
that
guy. Look at this guy. Look
You
at his hairline's receding. What a loser. Basically, we did like a paper airplane challenge of some sort. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. You know, there's no worries. There's just, you know, go check it out. It's good stuff. Hold on, let me just fix this. This is so broken. One moment, please.
What?
Yeah, yes, I wish to remove. Yeah, and we're back. Watch the video.
Okay.
It's gonna be great.
All
Channel
right.
Superfun's back, dog. Colton, me, and Jono were heavily involved. It's gonna be a blast. You guys are gonna love it.
The whole FloatPlane chat is just roasting me right now.
Oh,
Because I tried to
why?
roast them, but it was actually our fault.
Oh, yeah, well.
Oof. That's fair. That's fair. You know
That's
what?
fair.
You win this round.
Also, last sponsor for the show. Displate. A displate is a magnet-mounted metal print with art. It's durable, and you don't need any power tools to hang it. They've got over 250,000 different art spanning a bunch of different styles and influences. Easy magnetic mounting, so there's no holes in the wall, and it's easily replaceable. They plant a tree for every displate purchased, and ooh, we can show our portraits page. Let me just bring that up. Whoops, well, that's not the right page. There it is. And it's loaded. 5 displates by Linus Sebastian. I actually did not create those, but people on our team did. Look at this. Look at this Riley guy. Hey, they got his shirt wrong. He works for TechLinked. Actually, he does LTT stuff all the time. So Displate guys, go check him out. You can get 15% off using code LTT at the link below. So that's lmg.gg/displatewan. Aight. What else we got for big important topics today? Tesla removing software features from used cars. I was actually reading about this.
It's interesting.
So there's a Model S sold at auction. The guy bought it with the understanding that it had the full autopilot feature, and then I think there was one other one. Autopilot was advertised as a feature, and the story here says the previous owner paid $8,000 for it, but the article that I read about it was Tesla was saying that actually we were doing an audit and this car was not entitled to autopilot. In the description of work, it says autopilot was removed on November 18th, 2019 after it was found that the customer did not purchase the software. So basically, the car updated to the latest version and autopilot was removed after this customer bought a car that supposedly had autopilot.
Yeah.
So, oh man. This is
trying
brutal.
I'm trying to see if there's like an official statement or an update or anything like that to see if there's something along what you said, but I don't see anything.
So there's a couple ways to look at this. One is like, obviously you don't get the Steam library that was logged in when you buy a laptop. Obviously. Well, hold on. No, think for a second, though. What if someone sold their Tesla?
Okay.
No, hold on. No,
Okay.
I'm going somewhere with this.
Okay.
Stop.
Okay.
Okay. So I am a Model S owner,
Okay.
hypothetically.
Sure.
I'm a Model S owner.
Yeah.
And I'm going to sell my Model S. And I'm like, you know what? Model S, that's for chumps. I'm getting the Model X. X-rated. Big, you know? Big X. Big X.
Indifferent.
Okay? Yeah, sure. So, from my perspective, as a Tesla customer who bought some $8,000 software upgrade for
Yep.
my car, hey, maybe I want to take that with me.
Okay.
Okay, but hold on. I'm going somewhere with this. Just, can you calm down?
No.
I can tell. So he looks externally like he's calm. See, that's why I keep telling him to relax, because I can tell. Right below the surface, right a millimeter below the surface, he's gonna explode. He's
Yeah.
dynamite. He's
Yeah.
a dynamite kind of guy.
Yeah.
All right, so I want to take my autopilot with me.
Okay.
Why should I have to pay for a software feature that I already paid for? So in that case, if I were to say, hey, I think that Tesla should license their advanced driving features to the user rather than the car, I would have at least some ground to stand on. Now, I've been playing devil's advocate this entire time because I think this is ridiculous. But why don't you go ahead and...
If it was licensed to the user and it was made very clear that that was the arrangement that
Yeah.
they had, which is not how it works at all, I think that would be its own conversation.
Yeah.
It's tied to the car. So the Steam library argument doesn't really
No, it doesn't.
make any sense.
It was just for us to be able to have a conversation.
Sure, about like, hey, in an alternate reality, this could be weird but interesting, just because like it could be tied to the user, not the car, and they could go to a car that doesn't support it, and then it's like,
Yes, so that is really the problem with the entire argument I was
and
making.
then you like go into your buddy's car and log in, and it's like, hey,
Hey, I got autopilot now, boys.
yeah, hey, let's all share the same account. I
Now
don't know.
that,
yeah.
hold on a second. Whoa.
So you want to drive your friend around because you get
Hold
better
on.
features in your car?
Hold on a minute. No, because it's an autopilot feature. I ain't driving. Nobody's driving. Okay. So I think people who are being realistic, and I'm sorry to everyone who this is very bad news for you. I hate to be the bearer of bad news. For people who are being realistic, I think the future of people not owning cars is pretty clear at this point.
Yeah.
Cars as a service is happening. I'm so sorry. They're grieving right now.
It'll be there when you wake up. It'll just have been somewhere else while you're asleep.
That's right. So cars as a service, that's coming. Whoa. So I'm just using some fleet of autonomous cars or whatever. Oh. I, as a user, license better features. Now, I'm not saying I like this as a user.
Wow.
I'm just saying
That's brilliant and horrible.
that from the fleet management perspective,
You can have all the same car.
if they just have basic cars, and then so hold on. Okay. Oh my goodness, this is like next level stuff. Obviously, Mr. Musk figured this out 10 years ago, and that's like why he's pushing so hard for all this crap. But okay, so here's the dynamic. Okay, you've got the car as a service provider, and I know Tesla wants to be one of them. They want to be vertically integrated, but let's say they don't reach complete saturation. So you've got the car as a service provider. You've got Tesla. You've got the end user. So now you've got all these different licensing options to work together on as Tesla and the car as a service company, right? So either Tesla can go, hey, we're going to offer users directly the option to license air conditioning, for example. Okay, we're gonna license air conditioning. We're gonna license, the ability to go more than 100 miles at a time, or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
And then the cars as a service company is going to go, well, no, hold on a second. How about this? How about we bulk license some percentage of our fleet based on, in much the same way that you would I'm missing the word, provision. In much the same way that you would provision a server. So where you would oversell the hardware that's actually on the machine based on that not all of it will be used at a time. So the car as a service company is like, okay, 30% of our fleet is going to have music, better music quality, some better codec or whatever, so
Sure,
it sounds better.
sure.
Right? I'm just trying to come up with features that you could give and take away.
The feature right now is not that important.
Via
the
software.
idea is important.
Yeah, it's just the idea. So we're going to license that from you, and then we're going to charge a higher tier to the people who want access to those features under the assumption that we will never have more than 30% of our fleet deployed with these higher tier users. And so there's all these different ways that they could work together to make sure that people don't own anything.
Yeah. That, pretty much. That sucks.
It's brilliant.
Yeah.
They're going to make so much money, like so much more money than selling people cars. Like selling people cars at this point is like the worst business to get into. I mean, that's why nobody is doing it. Like you might say, Tesla. No. Tesla's not getting into the business of selling people cars. They're getting into the business of being an energy solutions provider, part of which is automobiles. And they're getting into the business of autonomous vehicle fleet sales and management. Because the problem with selling people cars is that you only get paid once, and that is not the way of the future, for better or for worse. And not only that, but it comes with so much overhead.
And like we know from a conversation we had, I'm assuming 1 or 2 months ago at this point, that like taxi company that had Teslas. Do you remember that? Like 300,000 miles, no major repairs.
Yeah.
So if you have that, if you have fleet mechanics, and you have like repair infrastructure, which I'm sure they have, where they can swap engines, they can swap batteries, they can do whatever they need to keep these things going way more cheaply than an end user would be able to.
Yep.
And then you're licensing them out and you get hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of kilometers on these things instead of like, I don't know what the average amount of kilometers someone starts to replace a car is, but instead of that, you get way freaking more. Yeah.
People are so in denial. In America, we own things.
Do you?
Do you?
Do you? Do you buy movies still? Do you buy movies still? Do you have physical copies of games?
Do you have CDs?
Do you have CDs?
Do you own any CDs? Oh boy, yeah. So I'm sorry. I'm sorry that was hard to hear, but man, it is gonna. Like, I honestly wonder. My kids are still not even close to the age where they would legally be allowed to drive.
Yeah.
And in much the same way that I sort of would marvel at how my parents just knew their way around, like driving, I was like, why don't you just use Google Maps? Like, right? I wonder if there's going to be another generational gap that soon.
Why are you still driving the car?
Why are you operating a steering wheel? Who even needs to do that? That's stupid. Like, it's a waste of my brain cells to
Why wouldn't
even...
you just, like, I was just going to say read.
Yeah. Watch
something.
A video.
Yeah.
Oh.
It took a sec.
Oh, hey, Nick, I got a question for you, and then you can jump in.
Also, I'm sure there's a ton of people being like, I own records! And yeah, there will be people like that with cars.
Yeah, absolutely. And they can take their cars to the track once manually operated vehicles are no longer legal on roads. Don't kid yourself. That will happen.
Might be a long time.
Linus thinks this is going to happen in like 15 years, and it's actually going to happen in like 50.
Yeah, 50 is fine. No, I'm not saying 15 years. I'm saying that it will be an option in 15 years, and then it will become mainstream. Because the thing is, the only way for big changes like these to happen are through people dying and being born. People who remember the old way die, and people who never knew any other way
and
are
industry's
born into
gonna have
it.
to swap over, and like the like shipping industry and stuff in terms of like trucks and everything is gonna completely swap because they'll see reliability. So like industries will change and re-standardize to this entirely.
Everything trickles down from the enterprise.
Yeah.
Not enterprise, the car rental company, the enterprise users.
Everything in the world trickles down.
Well,
from
I heard they
enterprise
pick you
car
up.
rentals.
I heard they pick you up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Putty's the best spokesman ever.
Jacob Salmon says, would a limited run LTX Displate at LTX be something we could see in the future?
Yeah, we have a design for LTX posters already.
Okay.
So.
Well, yeah, I think people
Probably.
would like to buy them there.
Yeah,
There you go.
I mean, well, displays, I don't know, but
Oh, okay. But something.
Yeah.
Something. All right. What can I do for you, sir?
you should talk about LTT Store.
LTTstore.com.
Have you heard the good news about LTTstore.com?
I actually did talk about LTTstore.com. Oh, this is great.
I think it was like one of the first things we said. On
Did you mean LTTstore.com? I did.
I
Wait,
love
dang it, not that one.
What's that Beat Saber person? Otter something? Space Otter?
OtterWorldly.
OtterWorldly? Like the top comment on their video is, after all that workout, you should get a water bottle.
I did see that.
And it has 2,000 upvotes.
2,000
What are
upvotes.
you doing?
Yeah. What are you doing upvoting things? You should just be buying water bottles.
You guys should send them a water bottle.
So sorry, what's the good news?
I don't know. It's a store. You buy stuff.
Oh, jeez. get out of here.
It's a store. You
Get out of
buy
here.
this.
I know what it is.
Gone.
This is how we're going to pay for our cars as a service subscription.
Oh, lordy.
Store.com.
We need a water bottle subscription.
Oh my God! You could have that be a company benefit.
Hey,
Is your service for your morning work pickup and your afternoon work drop off could be covered by your company?
Yep.
And that would be a way for the company to be like, you're
Absolutely.
going to be here on time.
And the executive package could include like it takes your kids to school too
Sure,
or whatever.
yeah.
Say I'm
Wow.
carving out that
They could have discounts for like company fleets. Man,
Absolutely.
it could automatically adjust based on schedules input by.
Well, just like
the
Uber,
company.
you'd have surge pricing during the times when everyone's commuting and it would be cheaper. So you're going to have companies like offset their hours by 5 minutes and stuff like that.
That
to
would
avoid
also
it.
help overall traffic.
Yep, absolutely.
But yeah, like if you were on like a somewhat variable schedule, it could just automatically change it so you know what's going on. Your car could inform you when you need to go to work.
Do you speak from experience? Variable schedule? It's like hardly ever here.
all I'm saying
I do
is,
not have appropriate facilities.
All I'm
They're
saying
coming,
is
they're
if
coming.
you voted no on the poll to continue working with PIA, you better go over to LTTstore.com and support us directly. Put your money where your mouth is.
Okay, all right.
I'm hard trolling.
Okay, Wired.com. This is great, I guess. Well, after the announcement from Adobe that they were killing off Flash, Ben Lattimore at Blue Maxima on Twitter has saved over 38,000 Flash games in a behemoth torrent as part of FlashPoint, a web game preservation product. So sites like Newgrounds, AddictingGames.com, that was my weapon of choice.
AddictingGames.com? Yeah, me too. 100%.
Miniclip. Millions of people went to play and publish games that influenced generations. I think that's probably overstating it a little bit, but
Generation.
he started in 2017 with a group of programmers and curators when he realized there was no historical archive for these games, animations, and experiments. So the FlashPoint project is currently 241 gigabytes and includes all the media files and a launcher. There's also a launcher-only download that allows you to install individual games. So the video game designers behind celebrated titles like Crypt of the Necromancer, Hollow Knight, and Super Meat Boy all got their start noodling around with Flash. This highlights the importance of digital archiving because we could lose a lot of the cultural history of the internet. In fact, one of the games on addictinggames.com that was like my go-to was a little simple Flash game called Pearl Harbor. So you were a plane, and I forget what the flight mechanics were, but you had to dip for some reason. You had to dip and then come up for some reason.
Sure.
And there were ships down below, and you had like a limited number of bombs, and you just advanced through levels. A very simple game, but it was fun. Just one day was off the site. If I had to guess, I would say someone got uncomfortable with Japanese planes bombing American ships or something. That's just my guess. I don't know. Maybe someone out there is watching. Maybe this will be like that Supreme Commander risk map, where like the entire community was like, "Hey, yo, you should update it," and he did, and then we played it. We should play it again sometime.
It was fun.
actually.
Yeah,
That was
I'm down.
Anyway, so it just disappeared, and I was like, "Oh, well, I can never play that game again." Well, that blows.
Speaking of not owning things,
Yeah. Speaking of not owning things,
the
So, I
first
think that's
picture
pretty
they
cool.
have on the article on PC Gamer is, I don't actually see it say this in here, but I'm certain it's Stick RPG. This game was so cool. Like I
remember Stick RPG. Yeah, I played Stick RPG.
Stick RPG was amazing.
Stick RPG was sweet.
I think everyone
Yeah, you could.
played Stick RPG.
I don't
like that
remember
was
there being a ton of content. I remember
No,
it
there
getting kind
wasn't.
of boring pretty fast.
it
but-
was,
Yeah,
but like it was really cool at the time.
yeah.
And for the time, I mean, it had a decent amount of content for a web game, for a browser game.
It's pretty limited. I don't even remember anything you could do. It was like kind of
You
dumb.
could go to the bar and you could fight,
Yeah,
or I think gamble somehow. You could go work out. There was a job that you could go to.
I
There
do
was
remember you
bank,
could get a job.
and you could like talk to that like dude outside of the convenience store.
Okay, you remember this really well.
and get like a skateboard.
How
and a
much
car.
Stick RPG did you play?
Probably a lot. I don't really remember. It's been a long time. Looking at this picture, like I got hit in the face with like, oh yeah, all this stuff.
I probably put like half an hour into it. It sounds
I
like
think
you
I,
were.
like,
It sounds
beat
like
it.
you were hardcore.
Yeah, I think I like beat it or something. I don't know if there is really an ending, but I don't know. I took it very far. I remember that.
Last topic for today. Xbox says Nintendo and Sony are no longer their main rivals.
Okay, I gotta jump into one thing that says in here. Phil Spencer said, "That's not to disrespect Nintendo and Sony, but the traditional gaming companies are somewhat out of position."
So, Mr. Spencer knows that content is king, right? Is he aware? Does he know that? Did he get the memo? Did he get the memo that the PlayStation absolutely killed the Xbox this time around?
Maybe that's why they're not competition.
Now, that's one interpretation.
I actually like the direction Microsoft and Xbox have kind of been going with gaming for a while now.
Yep.
The Microsoft Game Pass thing is actually pretty cool.
And cross-licensing between PC
Cross-licensing
and
is
the Xbox
awesome.
console.
I think they've been making a lot of good steps. I
Yep.
don't think that means that the traditional gaming companies are out of position, and I don't think that means. I think not to disrespect, while probably good intentioned, was not a very good way to start that sentence. I don't know. You are still definitely in competition with those guys. Even if only part of your business sector is in competition with them, you're freaking Microsoft. You have a lot of different business sectors. Your like Project xCloud thing that's invite only is probably more in competition with NVIDIA than Amazon and Google at this point, because Google Stadia is apparently not really going anywhere.
Yeah.
And judging by how Google does everything, they will probably just drop it.
I don't know. They've had
Or they'll carry it forever. One of the two.
they've had a shocking amount of patience for some stuff that's just kind of terrible.
Either it will never die, but it will
Yeah.
never go anywhere,
Yeah.
or it will completely disappear randomly. Maybe Amazon will actually do something. They are pushing a ton of money into that LOTR MMO, so maybe you are going to end up going against them, but like, I don't know. I think that statement's a little misguided. That's all. That's what I'll say there.
Now considers Amazon and Google top rivals. Google entered the home gaming market, etc. Amazon
Sort
and
of.
Apple offer games on their app stores. Apple offers a monthly subscription. They do not currently offer a cloud gaming service. I mean, the thing is that
neither does Microsoft. It's invite only.
a lot of technology is being built around cloud gaming, and I think that there's going to be a lot of time for Nintendo to step in and compete in that market once it's a little bit more mature.
I feel like they're going to Disney Plus the whole market.
Nintendo?
Yeah. Do you know what I mean by that?
Content's king. Yeah. So they just go, okay, you know what? Everyone else's like game streaming service, that's quaint, that's nice. Good job, you guys.
We'll come in late to the party.
Come in
and
late to the
everyone
party.
will go, wow, I really wish I could play that gigantic, massive, epic amount of
Endless
Nintendo
library
games.
of Nintendo games.
Guess I'll just switch my subscription over to that.
Yep. Yeah, they could easily do that. I mean, not easily. I mean, the funny thing about Nintendo is they just like,
They're slow about stuff.
man, they like even multiplayer.
And they're not very good at like
it
internet.
took them forever, you know?
They're not very good at internet things.
They're not. I feel like
But I could see them doing it late.
they'd have to be able to figure it out at some point, you know?
I think they will.
I mean, they have enough money to buy the
That's-
earth and all the heavens. Like, they just...
But that's why I said Disney Plus it, because Netflix
Yeah.
has been around and dominating for a long time.
Yeah, that's true.
And then Prime came in and was around for a long time before Disney Plus actually entered. So they could, Nintendo could enter many years late, and I still think they would dominate the second they showed up on the scene.
All right, we have time for a handful of super chats today. Let's thanks Thomas Jorgensen. Thanks Your Average Tech. What's the average amount of bandwidth you recommend I get for my Minecraft?
Someone on FloatPlane chat said Nintendo's a dead horse that needs to be buried. No.
Nintendo's a what?
Dead horse that needs to be buried. They're doing fantastic.
Yeah, they're doing just fine. But
and honestly, the Switch is amazing.
100 million Switches or something stupid
Some
like that.
crazy amount.
Ridiculous.
Switch is doing amazing. They
Ridiculous
got their
number.
fitness thing back because Ring Fit is actually doing really well and is apparently like very fun. Like that's
you
cool.
go.
They figured it out. They dropped that on the Wii U. They picked it back up again.
All right. I have no idea how much bandwidth you need for your Minecraft server. It really just depends how many people connect to it.
But what about dedicated RAM?
What? Dedicated RAM as opposed to
How
what
much
kind of RAM?
dedicated RAM does he need for his Minecraft? So
What? What?
you don't understand that reference?
He didn't ask that.
I know. It's a joke. Don't worry about it. Multiple people in chat get it. It's fine.
Thanks, Petrotsky 2007. Thanks, James Huak. What else we got here? Big hello from Terrace, BC. Hey.
Hey.
Manoj Mahendran says, since subscribing in 2012, pretty much watched most of your videos. What do you mean most? Really cool to see your company's growth, and the 10 million subscription was in Surrey for Christmas. Thought about gate crashing. That probably wouldn't be best. Just throwing that out there. Thank you for not doing that. Ricardo says, lived in Kamloops in the early 2000s. Wish I was enjoying the cold there with you guys. Thank you very much. And yeah, it's been sort of lame. Actually, it's been a little warmer the last little bit, but then it got kind of cold again. Mostly it's the wet. The wet sucks in the Pacific Northwest. All right. Brian says, car as a service won't work in rural without solutions. Well, yeah, they will come up with solutions, and as always, things will take
everything works
longer to roll out in rural areas. I mean, we might need to wait until cars have 1,000, 2,000 mile range or whatever the case may be, or there might be adapted solutions for rural areas where, instead of a standard car, it's like an extended range model that's basically the entire trunk and hood is just full of batteries. Whatever the solution is, there'll be a solution. They'll figure it out. But whatever it is, whether we're talking paved roads, broadband internet, it's always taken longer to roll out to rural communities.
I was just gonna say,
and it always shows up eventually.
I'm not talking in my lifetime. I'm talking in the amount of time that I have made YouTube videos with the Linus Tech Tips channel. People related to me have lived on farmland that they had to trickle download the videos over the course of over a day because they're on dial-up so that they could watch it. Now they have broadband. It happens over time.
All right. Speaking of happening every time, the show has to end eventually. Every time, 60% of the time. So thank you guys for tuning in. We'll see you again next week. Same bad time, same bad channel.
Bye!
I wonder if at some point I'm going to get in trouble for that.
Maybe, and that would be an issue because it's on every WAN show.
Yeah, I know. We'd have to just pull
Mass
the entire
chop.
WAN show. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wait. No, I have to stop this one first.